They say hospitals never truly sleep. Long after the halls empty, after the lights dim and the voices fade, something remains. This is the true case file of an object born beneath flickering fluorescence and dying heart tones. An artifact that sat quietly in rooms where children took their final breaths. An artificial body trained to mimic life that stood witness to unimaginable loss for decades. Originally housed within the Norwegian Lutheran Deaconess Home and Hospital of Chicago, passed through pediatric wards, trauma bays, and silent morgues. This relic absorbed more than medical practice. It absorbed memory, grief, and something far darker. What began as a training tool would eventually leave the hospital. But the phenomena it collected would not remain behind. Before it became what we know as Lutheran General Hospital, in Park Ridge, Illinois, before its trauma bays, its pediatric wings, the endless code blues and flatlines, it began as the Norwegian Lutheran Deaconess Home and Hospital, founded in 1897 on Chicago's northwest side. For more than 60 years, it served the city's patients, until shifting medical demographics revealed most patients now traveled in from the north and northwest suburbs. So, on Christmas Eve, 1959, the hospital reopened in Park Ridge. And by 1969, all operations transferred there. The Chicago location fell silent, but not empty. Some places do not forget the labor done within their walls, and certain objects carry far more memory than they should. She never spoke of it, not publicly, not even to fellow nurses. It happened before she ever worked her first real shift, before the trauma bays, the children's wing, the codes, the deaths. Her training placement had assigned her to the old simulation ward deep in the west side of the hospital basement. A room once used for pediatric practice. Students avoided it. The air smelled faintly sweet. Old disinfectant layered onto decades of abandonment. The lights flickered in irregular patterns. Waiting at the room's center sat a Martha Chase pediatric training doll. An early medical model with painted features and cloth leather weighted limbs designed to mimic the heaviness of a real child. Someone had positioned it upright on a chair, as though it were waiting.
Oh, that's nice.
She followed her procedural checklist, reposition the body, adjust the gown, simulate an oral assessment. But every sound, the rustle of fabric, the creak of joints, echoed too loudly. Unnaturally, mid-task, the overhead light buzzed, then dipped again. The room chilled instantly. Not the gentle cold of an old building, but a sharp, deliberate cold, like the sudden opening of a freezer door behind her. She froze. The wall monitors, unplugged, long dormant, suddenly popped with static. Then came a low humming tone. Another hum joined it. A dragging sound scraped beneath the nearest bed. She dropped to her knees. There was nothing under there.
What the hell?
Except shadows. They shifted. She recoiled. As the corners of the room darkened, the hum deepened into something rhythmic, like a heartbeat. Then the wall beside her rippled. At first, she thought it was stress, until a long black arm pushed through the surface, thin, stretched, wrong. Another tore from the opposite wall. Groping blindly into the room, boneless fingers ripping their way through the etheric fabric, all directed toward her. The doll remained seated in silence. At the room's center, its painted stare fixed forward. The shadows reached for her waist, her wrists, her throat. She fled. She didn't stop until 2 flights up. Collapsing into the stairwell, she sat shaking for nearly 10 minutes before her breathing steadied. The next morning, she returned her trainee badge. She claimed she wasn't ready for the profession. They nodded. They assumed stress. She let them believe it. Years passed. She came back, steadier now, as a fully licensed nurse at Advocate Lutheran General Hospital in Park Ridge, a massive 645-bed medical complex, Level 1 trauma center, and home to the only children's hospital in the northern suburbs. The corridors were long, echoing. Some wings still carried the gloom of their Chicago ancestry. She avoided the western wing whenever possible. The building recognized her anyway. She tended to a boy with severely compromised lungs. Days of hope ended with quiet failure. The monitor flatlined, a long tone filling the room. As she disconnected the respirator, keeping his spirit tethered to his body. She completed post-mortem procedures, cleared the bed, and then her eyes fell on the corner of the room. The doll, that damned Martha Chase doll, a relic left over from earlier years. Historical, administration said. She hated the way it sat watching. She stepped toward it, planning to lock it in a storage closet when the temperature plummeted. The doll's head appeared tilted, as if observing the room's final moment. A breath rasped behind her. Not her own. The wheezing sounded identical to the child's dying breaths. Still coming, still searching for lungs to fill, she stepped backward and finally realized the whispers among veteran nurses were real. Objects absorb, energy remains. Some vessels collect. The doll had been present through decades of death, through pediatric losses, trauma spills, code failures, flatlines. It had become something else. After the old Chicago hospital's official shutdown, remaining artifacts were auctioned. Among them, the Martha Chase training doll. It changed hands until entering the oddities circuit and eventually reached the paranormal community. A private collector purchased the doll in 2020, along with a vintage postcard of the hospital. The moment he placed both together inside his home, the air changed. Pressure at his temples, thick atmosphere, as though the room held its breath. That night, he noticed something odd. Not movement, but the shadow behind the doll. A child-sized silhouette that did not match the lighting. When he stepped closer, it vanished. Soon the house became active. Footsteps across non-existent tile. Soft coughs in the empty hallway. Curtain tracks sliding without curtains. One night, the unmistakable Flatline tone echoed softly through the hall. Then he found the postcard collapsed face down beside the doll, as though something had examined it. It fell again an hour later. Apparitions followed. A man in a gown at the hall's end, gone in a blink. A child-shaped shadow near the bathroom door. A hunched figure, muttering broken words under breath. None acknowledged him. They looked lost, as if wandering corridors that no longer existed. The doll never moved. It simply waited, absorbing. A doorway. A vessel saturated with decades of death and longing. Each night, he heard the wheezing again. Always from the doll's direction, listening, waiting. He contacted a museum the next morning. "I want to donate an item," he said. "What item?" the curator asked. He swallowed. The Martha Chase hospital training doll from the Lutheran Deaconess days. He delivered it personally. As the weight left his hands, so did the pressure in his chest. When he returned home, the house was still, finally empty. No footsteps, no coughing, no shadows searching halls that no longer belonged to them. A painted smile that never fades. A cloth-worn body soaked in years holds hospital nights and haunted days and gathers breath from dying tears. Small hands once reached but never found. A place to rest, a final shell. Their echoes cling to cloth unwound. A child's farewell the doll knows well. In corners dim where spirits roam, and flatlines echo, time's decay. Some vessels do not stay alone. They carry what the dead can't lay away. For souls who wander searching breath find anchors stitched in borrowed skin. And sometimes, death does not end the path. It simply chooses where to live within. Under continued investigation and controlled observation, the voices have faded from the collector's home, but shadows continue in hallways. And from walls, the activity patterns did not end with the doll's relocation. They only followed it. The artifact remains stable. Some objects do not imprison spirits. They provide residence, and sometimes The most dangerous haunted objects are not the ones that escape, but the ones that stay exactly where they are. If this case disturbed you, don't forget to please like, share, and subscribe to remain notified of all true continuing investigations. Because some cases do not remain closed, and you never know which artifact will surface next. Good night.